Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I wanted to continue on this road in my discussion of these two things. We were talking about this, which was on XRP chat from Rachel Lee back in the day, and we're still focused in on this right here. I'm going to focus more specifically on derivatives, and more or less, I've found this in common with these two. This one is that Kendra Hill on Steemit that I showed you earlier in the video before this, and this is Rachel Lee, and I think it's possible it's the same person, but that's not really relevant. They're both agreeing with each other that they both use the term digital gold all the time, and they both seem to agree on derivatives as being what Ripple's real plan is to conquer the derivatives market around the world. And so I'm going to focus in on that, because in order for them to do that, the whole theory here is that Codius is a part of the plan, that they have to have Codius, not just Codius, but also Polysign. Continuing, this is from Esoteric XRP, continuing XRP plus Polysign, which is the custody, plus Codius, which is the smart contracts platform that's supposed to be Ethereum on steroids, equals all of the effing money, okay? And then this is the Kendra Hill post here, the cross-border payments. Basically, Kendra Hill saying cross-border payments was just the test. Well, if there's any of you who have been around for a while like me in this space, it feels like we've been going through one big, long bear market test. For me, that's what it feels like. It feels like we're testing small corridors right now. It feels like all of the announcements are around small corridors like Thailand or Vietnam, these small corridors, like a test is being run. So a lot of this aligns in my mind and makes sense. And for that reason, I'm going over it with you again. But I'm going to show you some videos so that you can get it. A lot of you out there have never seen anything on Codius and all these. But I want to read this last paragraph again. Think of cross-border payments as a nice testing ground to prepare Ripple for the use case they have been focused on since the very beginning. The true intentions of Ripple are to handle 100% of the transactions which take place in the derivatives market. So why do they not make this public knowledge? For multiple reasons, the most important one being that they are not ready. They are missing a piece to the puzzle, and that piece is called Codius. Now, that piece is also called Polysign, and I should probably whisper both Polysign and Codius. They should probably both be whispered because Codius has been even more secret than Polysign. So here we go. Let me show you a few things. This is 2014, and remember, the story we're supposed to go with is that Codius was this project of Stefan Thomas, and then they decided to put it on the shelf all the way until maybe 2017, 2018. Listen to him.
We want to have trustless bridges between Ripple and these cryptocurrencies so we can process transactions between the two. And the same goes for other ledgers that are outside of the cryptocurrency world, like all of the existing centralized ledgers. We want to talk to those too. And so Codius, by having this architecture where contracts, smart programs don't have to be deterministic, so they can talk to any kind of API, and they support HTTPS and so on. They can talk to these things, but they can also talk to these things over here. So we have full flexibility to build smart programs and interconnect some of these things that are happening in the space.
Yeah, so speaking of smart programs interconnecting things, you could imagine tons of possibilities. One that we like talking about is imagine an open source Spotify, where rather than it just being one company that controls access to all of these different kinds of music, you could have an open marketplace where people are interacting with it and paying the artists directly. And because if it's open source, people can develop better versions of it constantly.
In principle, you can imagine any service that's out there and have an autonomous version of that. So for example, if we take something like Uber, maybe the customers are paying the drivers directly, and there's just a service which acts as a database that you can go to find the drivers. Codius came out of certain internal use cases that we needed. So things like making Gateway D more secure by having it be distributed. Things like having a wallet that is a little bit more intelligent, like that Wizard of Oz picture. So those are all things that came up from our work on Ripple, right? So we were originally thinking about adding smart contracts functionality straight into the Ripple network, but then came up with this whole idea of having it be separate and just add value to the whole ecosystem, right? Which is a much, much more attractive thing for us. One of our core company values is to be inclusive. So we want to build things that are useful for people in a variety of situations. Also, to answer your question a little bit more, there's some of our enterprise customers have already asked about Codius, so we're trying to develop some of those use cases. And we're also looking into ways to make Ripple as a network more attractive to Codius, but we don't necessarily want to share those yet, so just stay tuned for that.
Also calling all enterprises and financial institutions who want to add more automation.
Okay. All right. And then there was this. This is Chris Larson at CFCon USA 2018.
Finally, the last part, smart contracts. So big believers that also smart contracts will play a key role. Our bet would be on a technology called Codius, kind of a derivative of Intraledger. The differences here between, and so we're already getting some really good scale, the differences here between, let's say, smart contracts on Ether, which have to be on that blockchain, using that currency, using a specific language, is it's completely neutral. It can be used, again, on any blockchain. It can be used as a hosting protocol. It can use any language. It can use any currency. So we think that's going to be an important last component. We think all three of those things, the blockchains, the interoperability, and the smart contracts, equal an internet of value. I don't know if you want to use an analogy. I guess the blockchains are like these new fancy ports. Intraledger is like the shipping container. And I guess the smart contracts are like the robots, moving around the port, I guess, if you want to use that same analogy. And we think that this now becomes the platform for tons of other things, right? So when we're talking about lending, we're talking about securities, those really can't happen until you get the fundamentals of that payment platform, that internet of value completed. So I know we're just about out of time, and I do apologize. I've got to race back up to the city for another event I'm going to be super late for. But I'd rather thank you all for...
Okay, so there's Chris Larson talking about it. This Codius is at the center of their whole strategy. Now, that's in September 22nd of 2018. And also, in my last video, I showed you an article where when Ripple invested in Forte, the gaming company, and they said, and AMB Crypto apparently knew about it because they put a hashtag Codius. This is a video, but it's really just, let's see if we can back up here just a little bit. Right here. Right there. Forte is relying on Ripple's Coil, Interledger Protocol, and Codius. Okay, so they're all part of the whole pie. And then just by pure coincidence, after I did my first video where I mentioned that Forte was using Codius, Ripple just happened to tweet this out. It's the first time I've heard about Forte in months and months and months. So they tweeted this out today. Now, remember, let's go back to what this Rachel Lee thing said. Derivatives. And then it was agreed to by this what's her name? I'm drawing a blank on Kendra Hill or whatever. XRP and Codius are going to be used to manage the entire $1 quadrillion derivatives market. XRP is not a currency. It's a store of value, digital gold. So that brings us to these I wanted to show you on derivatives.
What do you sort of expect from blockchain digital assets next year and maybe even in the next 10 years?
Yeah, so to the point about Wall Street and some of the, evolution there, I think in the next year or 5 years, I think we will see more traditional banks legging into the space a little bit more aggressively than they have in the last 12 or 24 months. Not just on the blockchain technology side, so not just using blockchain technology to improve efficiencies on, say, trade settlement or reducing fees around broken trades, etc., but actually thinking about using digital assets, building sales and trading desks, building custody platforms, building prime brokerage platforms, full service suite offerings around digital assets. In addition, I think we might see central banks with greater adoption rates around the concept of using digital assets as reserve currencies. And then I think we will see derivatives markets start to explode in 2020 and beyond, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the derivatives markets outpace spot by 2x by the end of 2020. And then to an earlier point I raised around some of the activity we've seen in consolidation on the exchange space, Binance as an example I cited, I think we'll continue to see much further consolidation on the exchange side and within the OTC universe, and we'll start to see clear leaders emerge within the space.
All right, so she's talking about the derivatives. And here's Miguel Valles, head of XRP Markets, who's no longer there.
The whole idea of pre-funded both show and no-show accounts with actually XRP as opposed to other fiat currencies.
Yeah, I think in 18 we see it start happening. Certainly that's our vision, that's our goal. There's some concerns around security and custody. Right? Today we don't have any enterprise-grade custodians yet. We're getting there. So you need that. And then you need tools for hedging. Right? One of the reasons that liquidity is important is because it allows then people to hedge risk. Right? We're getting there. Right? So you need those three things in order to really get that use case. We can do some things to mitigate those challenges. The XRP helps. Right? So we can loan it, we can bet options, we can look to structure interesting derivatives, right, where we're the counterpart. The regulation is really the challenge. But I think in 18 we'll see it. I think in 18 we'll see, I'm not going to say it's 100 banks, but I think we'll get to a point this year where we'll see a few banks using XRP in real bank fields.
And also, do you think XRP has a future of being a bridge asset for digital assets?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Besides just the fiat idea?
Definitely. In fact, some of the market makers that we work with now, they use it to close arbs. So, if there's a huge arb on one exchange because somebody's selling, a large amount there, they'll convert out of whatever fiat or crypto into XRP, move it over somewhere, and then sell it there. So it's happening because it's faster.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
thank you.
Okay, so there's Miguel Valles. And then this is Naveen Gupta in 2008 at his fireside
well,
chat.
I would say, as our CEO has said many times, we don't care about volatility on a day-to-day basis, right? So, these markets are in early stages of development. Primarily, they're being driven by retail investors, and now the institutional investors are coming in. Slowly, what we're seeing is happening, and it's not slow, it's actually very fast, that the markets are deepening, the liquidity is deepening, there are a number of instruments that are being put in place, derivatives, future. And as you would see, you would find that the volatility will start to go down. We're talking about maybe 5-8 years in terms of the whole market getting developed, capital markets take.
Okay, so he mentions derivatives too. Now, this is one of Naveen Gupta's greatest hits, but I wanted to remind you, basically and I'm not even telling you that I agree with all this, but what I am saying is if you look at this right here, basically they're saying, think of cross-border payments as a nice testing ground to prepare Ripple for the use case they've been focused on since the very beginning. Against the backdrop of that, it's kind of interesting to listen to Naveen Gupta here.
How do you think, what is the next move, on Ripple's roadmap, in your opinion? To put you on the spot here.
No, it's very simple. So I think one thing, if there is one message that you can get in this room is Ripple is not an ordinary company. We are not here to have a small market share or do X, do Y, and make small amount of money or something to happen. We are here to make a dent in the universe. Either we will change the remittance universe, the way you understand, the way value gets transferred across the world, between people, between institutions, or we will just fade away. So it's almost 0 or 1, and some of it comes from our Silicon Valley arrogance. Some of it comes from, that's the reason 6 years ago we were born with the mission of moving money like information moves today, right? And we are making it possible working with the existing ecosystem. So I think this is a key differentiator about Ripple, and that's the reason we are a monoline company. Every day we get tens of ideas to say, why don't you do security settlement? Why don't you work in trade finance? Why don't you do X, Y, Z? And what we tell them is, just cross-border remittances is $155 trillion problem. We'll solve this first. We'll make a difference to everybody who's present in this room. And once we have made the difference, then only we will look at something else. So we are like Google is for search, Ripple is for remittances. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it right, and we will not rest till we earn your respect and your business.
So basically, at the very end, he says, we're going to work on cross-border payments the entire talk. And at the very end, he talks about derivatives after that. And so it's no question that they're going to address derivatives. The only question is whether or not this person was right in what they're saying here about this cross-border just being a testing ground. But it's fascinating nonetheless. So let's go back to what was said right here. Continuing, XRP plus Polysign plus Codius equals all the effing money. Now, here's Polysign right here. This is their website. It was just revamped. They've told us that Polysign will be live this year. Okay? Codius is the unknown because it's even more secret than Polysign. All right, so I go and I look because I knew that if I looked around, I Am Legion has probably covered this before. And sure enough, let's go through I Am Legion's little thread here. Liquidity shall never freeze again. ICE 9 stock market closes, other markets close. Where are all the liquidity going to go? Ripple Bank, crypto lending, DeFi derivatives. Ripple Bank. Now this is a slide right here, folks. This tells you how it's going to go. Codius is mentioned. You've got Ripple, you got Hyperledger, Quilt, XRP, Ethereum right here. Then going along, crypto lending. He's got BitGo, he's got all these securitized, which Ripple's invested in. All of these, let me see what else is on here. Licensed and regulated, Nexo, I guess. DeFi logos, Ripple securitized. Ripple has made its first move towards building decentralized finance, DeFi products based on XRP. And then it goes on into this. The logos acquire hires will now help Ripple build XRP derivatives, loans, futures, forwards, said Ethan Beard, Senior VP of Spring. All right, so there's that. Then he's got this Ripple building the financial infrastructure. This is what I just played.
To explode in 2020 and beyond.
All right, I just played you that. And then I don't know why you put hashtag end of the world, but okay. All right, and finally, before we leave, I wanted to tell you, they've got, right now at Ledger, this is in the description of all of my videos, at Ledger, the Ledger Nano S people, if you want to get a Ledger Nano S, remember, Coinbase went down yesterday, folks. It went down. If you had crypto on there, you could not access it while it was down, okay? If you want to get your digital assets and put them on a hard wallet where it's offline, they're having it. They've got a discount on the Ledger Family Pack. It's 27% off right now. It's in the description of all my videos. Go check it out. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that apparently it's all about the derivatives. Thank you for listening.